Hi guys, today I'll be taking a look at the best direct drive racing wheel bundles that come in at $500 and under. So in this case, the Moza R5, the Fanatec CSL DD, and the Cammus C5. We'll see how they all compare against each other in terms of quality, performance, and feel, and I'll highlight any pros and cons to give you a better idea of which one you should go for. Details for all the items I'll be showing in today's video are in the description below, including purchasing links. But before I begin, if you're new to the channel, hope you can support me by subscribing and hitting the bell icon to get notified of my next release. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Let's first take a look at what you get in each of the bundles and their prices. Looking at Moza's R5 bundle, you get the R5 wheelbase, the ES steering wheel, the SRP light pedals, and the R5 table clamp. The bundle is priced at just under £500 or $500 and comes with no shipping charges, plus Moza is sold at a number of different resellers. However, prices may be more competitive on their own website. Fanatec CSL DD bundle comes with the CSL DD wheelbase, CSL steering wheel, and the CSL pedals. The bundle is just under €420, and you do have shipping charges depending on the weight of the package. There's very few resellers for Fanatec's products, so the best way to purchase them is through their own website, as you can build your own bundle with your choice of wheel and pedals. The Cammus C5 bundle comes with the C5 wheel and CP5 pedals, but it doesn't include the table clamp, which is sold separately, and including this takes the price to just under $330, but that's boosted even further when you include shipping charges, so something to be aware of. Let's start by taking a closer look at the wheelbases. First up is the Moza R5, which has a very small and compact wheelbase and gives 5 Nm of torque. It's made entirely from aluminium, which acts as a heat sink for the motor inside and has a strong solid feel to it. At the front you have the connection point where you'd attach a wheel, and it works pretty well with a quick release mechanism. On the back you have the connection ports for the pedals, dash, USB-B where the other end connects to your PC, a DC power input, and a power button, which I would have preferred to be at the front of the wheelbase for ease of access, but nevertheless this isn't a big deal. Underneath you have 4 holes allowing you to connect it directly to a sim cockpit or to the table clamp that comes in the bundle. Next we have the Fanatec CSL DD, which is slightly bigger than the Moza R5 and gives 5 Nm of torque. In the packaging you get the standard power supply, but with this you do have the option of upgrading to the Boost Kit 180, which will take it to 8 Nm of torque. It's just a shame they don't give this by default, but if you did decide of getting the Boost Kit, it will set you back by €150. Both the front and back is made from strong plastic, and the sides are metal, which acts as a heatsink, hence why it's pretty heavy. You have some notches on the side and bottom, which is used for mounting purposes. You can place the T-nuts in there to allow you to easily mount it to a sim cockpit. There's a power button at the front and the connection point for the wheel, which has a solid feel to it, and it accommodates the quick release and screw-on attachment for the wheels. Coming around the back you have the connection ports, so USB, power input, data, shifter 1, shifter 2, pedal, and handbrake. Onto the Cammus C5, and this has no wheelbase as the direct drive motor is built into the wheel mounting, making it nice and compact, taking up minimal space on your desk, allowing you to bring your monitor closer to the wheel to give a more immersive experience. The mount is made of metal, with it being very sturdy, and it has a fan attached to keep the wheelbase cool, together with clamps allowing you to attach it directly to a desk or sim cockpit. But it has to be purchased separately, which is a bit strange, as how else would you attach the wheel? Onto the wheels, the Moza R5 bundle comes with the ES racing wheel. It has a smooth leather stitch cover all the way round, which feels pretty good, with a D-shaped racing inspired design, with the bottom flattened for increased driver leg clearance. In the middle you have an aluminium alloy frame, which consists of 22 configurable keys and a color rev counter at the top, which supports 10 LEDs. The wheel is 11 inches in diameter, and on the back you have their quick release mechanism with a black collar with Moza written across it. To the sides you have the aluminium paddle shifters, which are coated in black and have a nice ergonomic feel with a nice clicky sound to them. Have a listen to this. You even have mods available, giving you a cost-effective way of switching wheels, plus you can upgrade wheels too. Over to Fanatec, and they offer a bit more flexibility with their wheel rim choice, as they allow you to build your own bundle, offering you a number of different wheel options. I've got the BMW wheel, which is officially licensed by BMW. This is one of their cheaper offerings and the perfect starter wheel for the CSL DD. It has 11.8 inch diameter with a lightweight but strong feel to it, with it having a rubberized grip all the way round. There's tuning buttons that allow you to make adjustments to the wheelbase, and you can see the adjustments made made at the top of the telemetry display. You have 12 buttons and a 5-way directional stick. At the back you've got 2 copper coloured metal paddle shifters that are snap dome assisted to get the positive click feeling. In the middle you have the quick release mechanism made of strong plastic, and you'd push the wheel into position and turn it to lock it onto the wheelbase. One thing to remember is that the wheelbase dictates the compatibility, so in this setup the wheel is supported on a PC and PlayStation, but the CSL DD is only PC and Xbox compatible. So in this case it will only work on a PC, so if you wanted console support, make sure you choose the wheel that supports both a PC and Xbox. Now onto the Cammus C5, and as the direct drive motor is integrated onto the wheel, it's completely different to all the other direct drive systems out there, with there being no other wheel options or mods with this. It has a shallow D-shaped design with a diameter of 11 inches. The wheel rim is all black with a smooth, soft, hand-stitched Forks leatherette material all the way round with a yellow center strip. The faceplate is made from carbon fiber. It has a small rev indicator on the top. There's LED display showing your speed, which is taken from the in-game telemetry. The Cammus branding is underneath, and on the face you have 12 programmable push buttons and 3 rotary encoders which have a nice tactile sound to them. On the back you have 2 small paddle shifters which are so tiny but they have a nice tactile sound to them. Have a listen to this. And you also have your ports, which consists of a socket for the fan, a USB port, a power button, a DC input, and 2 USB ports to connect your PC and to connect up pedals. So wheel-wise, Moza and Fanatec give the most flexibility, allowing you to buy additional wheels and mods, whereas you're pretty limited with Cammus, which isn't an issue if you didn't have any future plans to upgrade, but definitely something to keep in mind when you're deciding which one to go for. Moving on to the pedals, and Moza's bundle comes with the SRP light pedals, which consists of a brake and accelerator attached to a pedal mounting plate. It all comes pre-assembled. It's made from high-strength steel and finished in matte black. The pedals can be easily adjusted and brought closer together, and even the pedal plate, which has the Moza branding on it, can be adjusted too. Both the pedals have anti-slip rubber pads to stop it slipping on a surface. They're both spring loaded and work off the distance traveled. So for the brake, it's not like a brake on a real car, which is what a load cell kit would give you, and that works off the pressure you put on it. But there is an optional add-on, which is their performance kit that adds a spring and a dampener to improve the experience, which is definitely worth getting. Looking at the brake, you have 2 connection points, one to connect to the wheelbase and the other to connect to the clutch. And to note, there is an optional clutch that you can buy, but there's no load cell add-on for the brake, which is a bit of a shame. Now onto Fanatec's CSL pedals. These need to be attached to a pedal plate. They can be easily adjusted if you wanted them closer together, and it's constructed of heavy steel, and you have plastic pedal plates that can be adjusted higher if required. You get a brake and accelerator pedal. The brake has a stiffer spring combined with a PU foam dampener. Looking underneath, you have 4 rubber feet, the RJ12 connection point for the clutch and brake, with the connection point for the wheelbase being on the other side. General construction of this is pretty good, and you have the additional option of buying a load cell kit for the brake or even getting a clutch pedal. Over to Cammus's CP5 pedals, which require assembly. You get a metal base with 2 pedals, so a brake and accelerator. These just clip into position onto the base plate. At the back you have an RJ12 and a USB Type-C that you'd use to connect to your PC. The pedal plates are metal and can be attached to the pedals, with you able to adjust the height. Both pedals are spring loaded, working on the distance the pedal travels, and the brake pedal doesn't feel realistic, as they should have added a spring and dampener to give it a better experience. Also, there's no clutch option, so it's pretty limited. Moving on to compatibility, software and customization. On the Moza, it's only compatible with a PC, but there is an adapter from a company called Brook, which is a Resolution 2, which allows you to use it with an Xbox or PlayStation, but the experience is a little bit inconsistent with the wheel and the game depending upon the platform you're on. But worth mentioning that Moza will be introducing a new wheelbase with console support very soon for the Xbox, so be sure to check out my review on that. Moza has its Moza Pithouse software, which lets you customize settings for each of the individual devices you have connected, with a user interface that's simple to navigate around, giving lots of customization, allowing you to make adjustments on the wheelbase, so you can change the amount of force feedback by adjusting the settings here, or changing the frequency depending upon how much of the track you want to feel in the game. There's also a mobile app on both Android and Apple, allowing you to connect to the wheelbase via Bluetooth, giving you the same amount of customization. which is really impressive and so convenient, but when playing games, only certain ones are supported, and you have to launch them via Moza's Pithouse software for them to work. Plus, with some games, there's additional effort required to get them to work, which can be a hassle, and I found this with Forza Horizon 5. Over to Fanatec's, and it's supported on both PC and Xbox. There's a Fanatec app for PC called Fanatec's Control Panel. This has a lot of customization available on all the different accessories, and you have the ability of changing settings directly from the wheel. And they've introduced an Android and iOS app allowing you to make changes on the fly from your mobile, and you're even able to use your phone as a racing display, which is pretty cool. But this functionality is only supported on a PC and not a console, as it requires you to have the Fanatec Tray app installed, which is now part of the Control Panel installation package. And this is because the Wheelbase doesn't have Bluetooth support like the other Wheelbases. But what's nice is that you don't have to launch the games via the Control Panel, as it's supported on the majority of games out there, making this plug and play. Onto the Cammus C5, and the wheel is only compatible on a PC and there's no console support. When you're using it on a PC, you'll need to install their software, and there's a limited number of games supported. And just like Moza, you'd have to launch the game via the app. There's also a mobile app on both Android and Apple, so you can customize settings on the go, making it really convenient. But the software is still being developed in terms of in-game force feedback, but tuning in-game still works well. Now on to testing this out, and I'll be testing them on my sim cockpit from Track Racer. This is the TR120, and my screen is the LG OLED C1. Let's jump into a race and test this out. All three wheelbases perform really well. Noise levels wise, they're pretty quiet, and even after racing for a couple of hours, they don't feel hot. With them all being direct drive systems, they provide feedback in the same way. It's essentially a motor on which you can mount your steering wheel, which gives you strong, incredibly smooth and detailed force feedback. The racing experience on these wheels is excellent, giving an awesome racing experience. It feels really smooth, refined, and gives a lot of details from bumps, curbs, and the track itself. If you were upgrading from something like the Logitech G29, G920, or G923, which are internally made up of plastic cogs and gears, which have more of a notchy feel, where you can feel the cogs turning as you're playing, making it feel more like a toy, whereas a direct drive wheel is much smoother, with it being quieter, providing a lot more detail. The difference is literally like night and day. With the force feedback from the direct drive, you can feel the wheel with a rumble coming from it, bumping into the curb or coming off the track. You can feel the sensation feeding back to you from the wheel. Power wise, they all feel very similar at 5 Newton meters of torque, giving a pretty good racing experience, which is more than sufficient for a starter wheel. And honestly, I was really surprised at how good the Cammus C5 performed, as good as the Moza and Fanatec, but at a much lower price. But on the negative side, you can't refine the experience any further with the C5, as the app is still under development, but that should be improving soon. With the Fanatec, you've got the advantage of being able to buy the boost kit to take it to 8 Newton meters, which is essentially just a bigger power supply, but this is not an option available with the other two. All the wheels generally performed pretty well, with a good feel to them, with Moza and Cammus having a rev indicator, and Fanatec and Cammus having a display showing your speed. I preferred the paddle shifters on the Fanatec and Moza, as they were just a normal size, even though Cammus's offering worked well, but it just felt too small, which may be an issue if you have shorter fingers, as you'd have to stretch a bit further. Aesthetically, Cammus's wheel isn't the most appealing looks wise, even though it worked well. Onto the pedals, Fanatec's ones feel great, as they have a solid feel made from heavy steel with no sideways play. The accelerator is nice and smooth, with the brake having a stiffer spring combined with the PU foam dampener, providing a more realistic progressive feeling. The clutch kit is optional, and you'd only need this if you were using a shifter. Moza's SRP light pedals feel just as good, with a solid feel with no flex, but the brake pedal doesn't feel realistic, as it just has a smooth motion like the accelerator. Moza really should have added some sort of dampener to give it a more realistic feel, as it essentially just works off the distance traveled and not the pressure applied. But there is an optional performance kit that allows you to attach a spring and dampener to give a better experience, but this comes at an additional cost. The accelerator feels smooth and retracts back well, and the overall experience does feel good, but definitely worth investing in the performance kit to make the most of it. Now onto the Cammus CP5 pedals, which is the cheapest of them all and only comes as part of the CS bundle. They are essentially spring loaded on both the brake and accelerator pedals, just like the Moza SRP light pedals, which essentially makes them both feel the same, as there's no additional resistance like a dampener on the brake. There isn't a clutch option like you get with Moza and Fanatec, and both pedals use the Hall effect sensors, so it doesn't give the greatest experience. So in summary, all three wheels are very similar in power and performance, and in all honesty, you won't be disappointed in which wheel you decide to go for. If you're on a limited budget, then the Cammus C5 may be a good option, but be aware of their shipping costs, as it will boost up the price depending upon your location to literally the same price bracket as the others. But at that point, I don't think it'll be worth it, as I'd say Moza and Fanatics are better options to go for, as you have a lot more functionality through their apps, and they have a better ecosystem, giving you much more choice with their wheel rims and accessories. But if I had to choose one of them, I'd definitely go for Fanatec's CSL DD bundle, because with that you've got the ability to increase the power to 8 Newton meters of torque with the Boost Kit 180, Fanatec's expandable ecosystem with a huge range of wheel rims and accessories. There's a lot of adjustability from the app and from the wheel, plus you also have console compatibility by swapping out the wheel, which gives you compatibility with the Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S. If I had a second choice, I'd go for Moza, with their build quality being very similar to Fanatec's, and with some of their products even being better than Fanatec, I'd say. Moza's app is also very good, giving you the option to make adjustments through the PC or on your mobile. The only letdown is that there's no console support, but as I've mentioned before, there is a third-party solution which allows you to get it working with either a PlayStation or Xbox. But remember, this experience isn't consistent, and even gameplay on different platforms on the same game could be inconsistent too. And finally, Cammus C5, which is a more affordable solution to Fanatec's and Moza's bundles, but it doesn't have a wheelbase, as a direct drive is mounted directly onto the wheel. It's only compatible with a PC, and there's no console support. So there you have it. You've come to the end of another video, and I hope it's helped anyone thinking of choosing their first direct drive bundle. Details are in the description below, including purchasing links for all the items I've shown today. And if you have any questions on anything I've mentioned in today's video, then let me know in the comments below. For those of you who've got to the end of this video, please leave a comment with best DD, as it's nice to see who's got to the end of my video, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook and Twitter. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to be notified of my next release. Thanks for viewing, and see you in the next one.